Good morning, y'all. Today I'm spending a little bit of time getting some seedlings transplanted into the greenstalk. This greenstalk's been sitting all summer without any water, so I'm just taking a little bit of time now to completely rehydrate the soil before I start putting in seedlings. I go through this process 3 or 4 times just to make sure that all of the soil, every inch of it from top to bottom, is fully saturated. Like I said, it has sat all summer with no watering happening to it aside from the rain, and that just isn't enough to keep this soil properly hydrated. The watering trays that go between each level of the greenstalk somehow or another always collect some debris. I'm not really sure how it all gets in there because the holes are so small, but somehow or another this stuff is getting in here. So you just want to make sure that you rinse these trays out before you restack your greenstalk. Next, I want to add some nutrients back to the soil. I did have a few things growing in the greenstalk, but not a whole lot, so it's not completely depleted. I'm going to use a little bit of fish fertilizer and some garden tone to just re-amp the soil before I plant the seedlings. Just to the right, out of view of the camera, is the 5th level of the greenstalk. It is actually sitting on the carousel where I stack the greenstalk, and that's where I'm disappearing to when I walk off camera. So a little bit of garden tone, just like I said, to re-amp the soil. This year I'm setting a few of my edible crops out into the ornamental garden beds, so I might as well go ahead and feed them while I'm thinking about it. Now that we have those taken care of, let's go ahead and get some garden tone into the other 4 levels of the greenstalk. I don't measure, I just grab a few handfuls and make sure that it's tossed around into the pots, and then I'll come back through with my hori and mix that all up so that everything gets worked through the soil evenly. The garden tone and the fish fertilizer are both organic fertilizers. The fish fertilizer, being water soluble, will be immediately available to my plants. And while they're enjoying a little bit of fish fertilizer, the garden tone will take a couple of weeks to fully break down and be available to the plants. So I just want to work this in completely and know that my plants will be able to be fed for the first 4 to 6 weeks that they're in the greenstalk before I come back through with the second feeding. That soil looks absolutely great being rehydrated, and as I mix in the new nutrients, I should let you guys know that this is a combination of Espoma potting mix and also Espoma land and sea compost. There were a couple of my levels that I did add a little bit of cow manure compost to, just because I was running low on the land and sea, but for the most part it's land and sea. Just to top off of water to go ahead and work that fertilizer into the soil better and start to activate the garden tone. I'm going to go ahead and grab 3 tomato plants that I started from seed. 2 of them, I believe, are gumdrop brown and yellow pear. The third, I'm not sure what that one is. And I'll go ahead and get those put into the first level, the lower level of the greenstalk. I typically would bury my tomatoes about halfway up the stem, if not a little bit more. But in the greenstalk, I'm not really going to worry about it too much. These seedlings are pretty strong, and I think they'll do okay. They will get extra support from the trellising system for the greenstalk to help hold them up. watering and setting on the first of the watering trays. I'm going to go ahead and get that next layer put on. These can be pretty heavy once you've gotten them filled with soil and watered in, so just be careful, watch your back, and try not to squish your plants as you plant. So far, my main crop for the greenstalk this season are going to be bush beans. I'm going to go ahead and get in these next 2 layers will be, I believe they are royal burgundy and gold rush. I think that's what I started. In each pocket, I want 3 bean plants. So I tried to start 3 seeds in each one of the cells, but they didn't all germinate. So I'm putting in 3 in any kind of combination that I can get. If all 3 in a cell germinated, then I'm only putting in 1 of my seedling cells, and if it was 1 or 2, I'm combining multiple cells to put them in each pocket. This level was a little bit low in soil, so just want to top it off with a little bit more compost. I think every greenstalk gardener out there has done this at least one time, but guys, don't forget to put your watering tray on before you set your next level. You're just going to have to come back and take it all apart later and get that tray in there, because the watering system will not work properly without the trays. You'll see later on in the video, I'll have my husband come in to help me get this reset. I'm using the greenstalk patented plant supports to just kind of give my beans and my tomatoes a little bit of extra help. The beans tend to get a little leggy as they're growing, and the weight of the beans will bend down the plants and snap them. I don't want to have that happen, so I'm just going to give each layer, I've got 3 of these, so I've got 3 layers that will get some extra support to hold the beans up and keep the plants protected. Special shout out to my wonderful husband, who does not like gardening one bit, but when I need his help, he never hesitates to come out and give me a hand. And thanks to him, I was able to get this greenstalk taken apart, add the watering tray, and keep working. Once these things are weighed down with soil and water, they are really heavy. And when it's hot outside, I lose my energy pretty quickly. Right now, we're just adding the rest of the plant supports on the lower levels, and I will go ahead and get some radishes put into this thing. I really don't know what I was thinking while I was working. I took for granted that I didn't have a camera guy, and I forgot to adjust the camera. So you guys missed a whole lot of the action up at the top levels. It's not that big a deal, though. I'll make sure that I remember to move the camera next time. So 1 filling of the top reservoir to make sure that the watering system is dripping properly. And once I see that it's doing that, I can move on to other tasks, like getting a couple of stakes put into a few of the plants here and getting to my main task for the day. I tried to help these weak seedlings by putting some small stakes up to support them and hope that they gain a little bit of strength, but they ended up dying. No big deal. They were really weak when I put them in. I just needed to get them out of the cells that they were sitting in, and I figured pop them into the greenstalk and see what happens. They didn't make it. I've got some more seedlings that are stronger, and they look like they're going to be much better. And now I got to figure out where to put them, because the greenstalk is probably not the best place to put these guys in this heat. While I was at it, I figured I might as well pop a couple of small stakes in next to the tomato seedlings and the okra plants that have been growing in the pots beside the greenstalk. By far my most vigorous plant in the garden this year, and probably last year, is this golden sweet potato vine. It is 1 plant. If you've watched any of my other videos, you've seen me show this one on camera and talk about it. I've got to trim this thing 2 to 3 times a month just to keep it in check. Right now, I'm just trying to get a little bit of light into the center. There are 3 hanging baskets, that I started some seeds in, but unfortunately, because this thing overgrows so quickly, I didn't get enough light and I didn't get any germination. So I'm going to have to reseed those, or I'll put in some seedlings that have been established already in my seed trays. At the left base of the arbor, there is a second sweet potato vine, the red one that you see there. That one I was hoping would grow up and intertwine with the golden sweet potato vine, but it's just not as vigorous a plant. It is vining, and I guess it's probably about 3 feet or so up the center on the inside face of the arbor, but it's just not doing what I want it to do. So I think I'm going to go ahead and pull those vines loose and just let it sprawl on the ground because it's not as vigorous as this one is and it won't take over the grass. By this point in the day, I'm pretty tired. It's pretty hot out here, and you've noticed that I brought my water out, but I've not remembered to drink very much of it. So I'm dehydrating and I'm losing my energy. I need to try and wrap this thing up and get inside so I can cool off. I think this is a really, really gorgeous sweet potato vine, but it is very vigorous. I love looking at it. I love to see it grow, but I'm always so delighted after I come back through and clean it up. If you've made it this far with me, I really appreciate you guys sticking through and watching the videos. For those of you who have subscribed, thank you so much for helping me grow the channel. I'll see you guys in the next video.